Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is Roger Salam, welcoming you to the new paradigm of real estate success. And I'm the chairman and founder of the Winner Circle. And today, what we're going to be talking about is the different. I'm actually going to skip about myself before I go. That if you want to know about me, if it's your first time you are listening to me, you can Google my name and stuff. You can find out everything else. And probably many things you don't want to know. So let me know what you find. And so what we're going to talk about today, you're about to discover how to buy distressed bank REO properties without having to bid against the general public. Number two, learn the different kinds of lists that are available through us. And number three, walk through the actual property lists and how to place bids and win bids. So those are the three things that we're going to be covered. And my special guest today is Eric Thomasy. He's a real estate broker and my joint venture partner in this project. And you can reach him at eric@thewinnercircleinc.com. So Eric, can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. Welcome. Thank you, my friend, for taking the time to share with my students and investors alike on this program that we have.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Before I just dive into the program, and tell us a little bit about yourself, and so that they have an idea of who we are and how long you've been doing it.
I've been doing this now, real estate, for about 14 years. Prior to that, I used to be the president of a chain of 70 sporting goods stores based in the West. After my company got sold, after I sold it, I decided that I was going to get into real estate and do something a little bit different. When the down market happened in 2006, 2007, I kind of switched gears and went into distressed properties and buying bank-owned properties.
And then, how long have you been getting these lists?
I've been dealing with the auction companies now for about 4 years. I have traded somewhere around 14,000 assets in the past 12 to 13 years.
Awesome. So as you know, that these are not small numbers to be able to, just on these auction properties, we have been getting this list. So since he's referring to the list, let me go right down to the different kinds of lists that we get. We get primarily 4 different sources from our list that we get. One is auction.com, number 2, Hudson&Marshall, number 3, Realty Bid, and number 4, Zom.com. And I'm going to talk about one more also. And what's the advantage of going through us, through list, is this, primarily that if you go to auction.com, and you can certainly bid on it over there, but you're going to be bidding with the whole world. And as you know, that people get emotional and they bid up the property way more than it's worth sometimes. And so if you like any of the properties from the list that you're going to get from us on a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis, and you can choose, and some of them I'll show you exact list. Some of them we have a suggested bid amount, and the others we don't. So you do either case, you do your due diligence and tell us how much you want to place your bid. And I want to make sure that you understand this is not a lowball game. This is what's known as the highest and best offer. So you don't get a second chance, maybe the second go around, but no, we don't go play back and forth with you. This is not a round robin auction. So once you know, because how much money do you make if you don't get the deal? So 0. So make sure that you place your highest and best amount, and then you send it to us, and then we will contact our inside person, and they will tell us if we'll basically tell you if the bid's going to be accepted or not. And sometimes we'll be able to tell you that how much you need to go up by in order to accept the bid to be accepted. And once you
or they'll tell us to come down.
Or they'll tell us to come down. Okay, that's even better. So from that perspective, and by the way, this bid up or down, I have no vested interest in trying to get you to bid up or down, because as you know that we have a flat fee in our agreement So we have no vested interest from doing that. So, but the great advantage is that you don't get to bid, and the moment we get the bid accepted, and it gets pulled from the list. And that's the secret. That's what it took us, the relationship that we built over the years with all these auctioneers and other houses and property sources. So I'll give you a real life example from that Eric and I were talking about the other day, and this is kind of a sad thing, but it still makes the point that a friend of ours placed a bid for a property in Vegas last month for 36,000 around there, and the bid got accepted. However, because he didn't give us much time or some human error, that property did not get pulled. And then it went to the general auction. That property was bid up to $99,000. So imagine that the bid was accepted. So that means he could have bought the property in all practical sense. He did buy the property at 36,000, and he could have. And this is other investors buying at 99. That means they probably are making more money than 99, or they know something that we don't. So that's the kind of spread you can get once in a while. Obviously, not always. So that's the basic gist of all of these properties. The list that you're going to get thousands of properties, and I'm going to show you right now on all these different lists. So let's start with auction.com. So Eric, how often do we get the list from auction.com?
Once a week.
Once a week. Great. And how many different kind of properties are in the list from auction.com?
3. There's an REO tab, there's an insurance tab, and there's a bundle and save tab.
Okay, so you heard now there's these 3 tabs, and obviously the next, before I go into the next question, how to read the list and place the bids, what are the difference between these 3 kinds of lists? So let me actually take you a real live bid for you. I'm gonna go there, and this is auction.com. So let's look at this. This is, as you can see, we're in May, and this is a list from auction from last month. And when you get this list, typically from me, you're gonna see the date first. So it's April 6th, 16, 2018, and the source, auction.com, and what kind, the bundle. So it might say auction.com REO or auction.com insured, the 3 different kinds of lists. So on this particular list, this is the bundle list, and look at how many properties. So if you scroll down, there is, on this particular one, there is 32 properties, because it's row 33, because the first row was the header. So that means there's 32 properties on this list. So there's a reason why these bundle lists don't have hundreds or even thousands of properties. So Eric, can you tell us, I'm going to go all the way actually from the beginning, and so tell us about this particular, what is bundle and save?
So typically the auction companies, specifically auction.com, they have a buyer's premium. That's how the auction companies make money. On the bundle, on auction.com, the buyer's premiums $2,500 and or 5%, whichever is greater. I came up with the bundle and save program for auction.com, and the reason I did is I spoke to them at great length about multi-unit buying, and people like me have a problem spending a minimum of $2,500 per asset for a buyer's premium. I pick up 10 assets,
or 5%, which is even more.
Even more.
Yeah.
But in order for it to be 5%, the property has to be over 50 grand. As you well know, I buy properties a little bit less than that.
Yeah.
So the bundle and save's real simple. There's 30 some odd assets on here. If you win, let's say 10 of them, instead of $2,500 times 10, which would be $25,000 in buyer's premium, it's 10 properties divided into $2,500, which means your buyer's premium per asset is $250. So it behooves you on this specific list to get as much as you can so that you don't have to pay as much on buyer's premium. Now, usually these properties have run several times, and they're usually a little bit more entry level than some of the other lists. This is by far my favorite list, though.
Awesome. So that's the, when you see asset type bundle and save, and then I'm just going to walk you through property ID. Don't worry, because that's something in internal control, and it's a link that takes you to the property detail on the web. There's the address, city, county, state, zip, and sometimes they provide this reports. And so don't pay. Always recommend do your own due diligence. I always say property type. It's telling you whether it's a land, it's a SFR, is single family home, co-op, and different kinds of bedroom, bath, square footage, lot size, year built, MLS comment. So starting bid, occupancy status, deed type, almost all of the deeds. The good news is that the other auction company that I was dealing with in the past, I've been doing it also since 1, 2, 3, but this is my fourth year or fifth year also going into this, dealing with this high volume products. Product type is REO, and you'll see a starting bid, and then you'll see the starting bidding start time, and then bidding end time, and auction status for the property. These are auction type, and you need to pay attention to this TWC number. And if there's a number over here, for example, on the third one, it says 7,500. Pretty much your bid should be in and around that $7,500. If you go much lower than that, chances are you're not going to win this particular property. So wherever we can, we give you the TWC number so that you know your chances. And by the way, if from your due diligence you figure out that this is not worth 7,500, then just skip it. Go to the next one. Sometimes these are the numbers we get from the bank or the auction houses and the investors reserve, and they may be unreasonable. So skip. There are thousands of properties, so there's no changing on this one for their mind for at least this go around for doing it. So Eric, can you comment on when you see the run rate and the starting bid? For example, on this particular one, the starting bid was $2,500, and then the TWC number you came up with was $7,500, and then there's a run rate of 6. What does those mean?
The run rate, the run times is how much the property has, how many times it's run on auction. Mm-hmm. Usually after 4 or so, 5 runs, that's when I start trying to get the assets a little bit cheaper. On the first or second and third run, they're not going to discount their numbers too heavily.
All right. So, and that's a run rate. So on all of these properties, what I want you to do is once you see your bid amount, this is the column that you're going to write down your bid amount. So if you're going to write down, let's say you're going to bid $7,000 or $7,400, and you could go 7,000, but if somebody wants this property and they pay the full 7,500, they're going to get it. So if it's worth 75 to you, then bid 7,500 and not 74, because someone else is going to get it. So do that, and then once you put, let's say 7,500 over here, and then I want you to highlight this entire row so when my office is going through this list, they can easily look at, hey, how many are you, like he was talking about, if these are the 10 properties you're going to bid on, then highlight all 10 and make sure that there's a number next to each property, and then we'll know how many to get for you. Any other comments, Eric?
Sometimes you'll see in a column that says no bid. Mm-hmm. I usually put that in there because I either A, think that the opening bid amount is too high, or B, I just think the property has too many issues to even bother bidding on. Okay,
so like for example, starting bid on this is $500, and some of them don't have. So in this particular one, both of them are 500, and on this column it says no bid, that means is that you didn't bother to, that these properties were not worth bidding?
That's correct.
So even if somebody wants it for $500, can they get it? That they can place a bid?
No, they'll never get it. Nobody will ever get a property on the opening bid amount.
Okay. So, but then if they do their due diligence, they can do their due diligence, and if they think this property is worth $3,000 to them, they can place a bid for 3,000 or 10,000 or whatever they decide, not higher than the open.
They absolutely can.
Okay.
They can.
All right. So if you do your due diligence, what I teach my students is that almost look at this TWC number. Just because we say 7,500 or 11,500, you forget this number and do your due diligence, and then you come up with what your number is, and then place the bid. So this,
yeah, but it shouldn't be it shouldn't be under my number though.
Yeah, so
their the success rate of running the assets is going to be greatly reduced.
Greatly reduced. So that's what I suggested, that if you see the number, the TWC number column, then that means you are, if you want the property, stick to the numbers if there is a number there for that. So that's all about the bundle and save. So one more time, bundle and save is the more you buy. Say if you buy two, then you're going to get $2,500 divided by 2, so $1,250 is your buyer's premium per property. And if it is 10, as you said, it's only $250, so you get one buyer's premium, $2,500 for all the properties that you want to buy. If you buy more than 10, obviously it's going to be even less than that. In this particular, there was 32 properties there. So let's go back to our slides. So we looked at REO bundle, this number 3 auction.com bundle list. Let's look at the next one, auction.com. Sorry, we already looked at the auction.com bundle list, so let's look at the next one. This is the auction.com REO list. Now, one of the things that we do when we get the list from the bank, they just give us one tab. And I know that my students, although the lists are nationwide, not all of them buy nationwide. In this particular one, this REO property, let's look at, if you had to look at this list, what would you do? How many properties are on this list? So there are
a lot,
over 2,084 properties on this. So scrolling back and forth between the properties becomes very, very cumbersome. It's not easy. So what I do is my office will go and break it down and create all these tabs for you. On the next to the first tab is always the REO tab, where all the properties are there. Then it's Arkansas and Alabama, this. So if you, for example, I'm in Florida, if my students in Florida, they buy at least Florida. So then if you click on just Florida, it takes you to the just the Florida property list, and you don't have to bother with the 2,000 plus properties. You're just looking at how many properties are in Florida. Let's look at, Florida has this particular list, only 151 properties for this particular one. So it becomes much easier. You can now sort it by the city. For this, now most people then by your city. So if you just go sort it by city, and bingo. So now you see most people who don't live in Florida or don't live in the Orlando neighborhood, they would probably never heard of Apopka. Apopka is just a city suburb of Orlando. So, but people who invest in Orlando Metro, they know Apopka right away. So they say, oh yeah, sure, I'm going to bid the Apopka property. It's only, within half an hour from downtown Orlando. So now you have 150, is much more manageable. In order to save you time, this is what we do. So you can go back to the main list. That's where you're going to place your bid. But for example, so let's go through the columns. and on the REO properties. So you have your asset type, property ID. Again, that's a bank reference. You don't need to worry about it. Event ID also, you don't need to refer. You can basically the address, city, county, state, and property type, bedroom, bathroom, lot size, year built, occupancy status, deed type. That means what kind of deed you're going to get the property, and property type, your bidding start time, bidding end time. So you want to expand those. So you make sure that you look at property start time and end time, auction status. So here's another thing is we need to, in order for us, so this list was sent, let's say on the 16th, and bidding start was on the 18th and the end was on the 20th. So that means you have to get to us, try to with 2 days before the auction, final auction, the end date, so that we can go and have some time to go talk to the sources and pull the property from the list. And Eric, is that correct, that 2 days before?
Yes. Sometimes properties cannot be pulled. If the auction starts and then I get a bid, I cannot pull the asset from the auction once it has started, just so you understand.
Okay, so this start time is is that the 18th you're talking about?
Right. I need that. In order for me to pull assets, I need that prior to that date.
Prior to the bidding start date.
That's correct.
Okay, so for example, if this particular one, the start date was the 16th, and we got the list on the 16th, so then we skip this one?
Yes.
We place a bid regardless, and let's see if you can get it or not.
Well, a lot of times the asset doesn't sell, and you'll see that on the link page earlier in the spreadsheet. It's probably link number C or D, B, C, or D.
Yeah.
If you click on the page and it says auction ended, that means nobody bought the property. There's no high bid. It'll probably come back to auction.
All right. So then, but this in between, I'm talking about the in between period. So obviously after the 18th, we can click on the link and see that the auction ended and the property did not sell. But
correct. If it's between those dates, then yes, I can still place the bid, obviously, but as long as your bid is higher than the current bid.
Yeah, you'll get it. So, but the property cannot be pulled.
Correct.
Okay. So auction, and the run rate is, again, you understand the run rate is how many times the property has run through auction, and like you said, after the 4th time, you can start bidding. And on this particular, on the auction.com REO list, you see that the TWC number, which is always our recommended bid amount, is not there. So you get to do your due diligence and then place your bid over here. So there is a starting bid amount. This one's $100,000. So as you said, that they make the $100,000, the starting bid, very low. What I call is to get people's grid glands swell, and they bid it up. So do your due diligence and put your number over here, and then highlight those properties that you are bidding. It could be this one, and then it could be, just skipping that one. It could be this one, not, oops, like that. So not just shift, do control. If you do shift, and then it'll highlight all of them in between. So if you're gonna do 3, then that's how you do it, and make sure that your bid amount appears over here, whatever the number is that you do for your due diligence over here. And you just learned also that bidding start time and end time, they're very critical. And if you get the property, the list, and the date is already the auction started, then you can still place the bid and we'll submit it, but you have to be the highest bidder and with others. But if it is before the auction starts, then chances are we can pull it from the list. So as long as even the day before, right?
As long as that number is acceptable by the bank.
Yeah, of course, as long as that number is acceptable So this is the auction.com REO list, and then now let's look at the third one, which is the auction.com
Insurance.
insurance product. So this is you can see one more time, you'll see all the properties. So if you're saving these, after you download it, it'll be very date specific. There's always the date first, the name of the source, and then the kind of assets in there. So tell us about what is insured properties.
Insured properties means that the loan was originally insured by Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie Mae, AIG, whoever. And the loan was insured. So what happens is the bank goes out and hires either an appraiser or a broker to give them a broker's price opinion of what the asset is worth. That number then becomes the number that the bank is going to end up turning in as a claim for the insurance on the defaulted note. The number doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good number. A lot of times the realtors or the appraiser just does a quick check on comps and doesn't take into consideration the condition of the asset. So you have to look at that very, very carefully.
Great.
So on the insurance product, they're not likely to come down a tremendous amount because they frankly don't need to, because they know that if they can turn this in, that as a claim, that they're going to get paid that full amount. The caveat being is, in order for that insurance claim to be paid off, the asset has to be considered quote unquote livable. And a lot of these assets cannot pass that inspection for small little things. Mm-hmm. So that's why they will sometimes take a lower amount, but not very often. There's no need for them to.
Okay. So, and look at this particular insured list has over 6,000, almost 6,500 properties, and just on this list. So it's very difficult. So that's why you'll see that it's broken up into insurance Arkansas, Alabama, and all the way. If there's a tab missing for your particular state, that means that on this particular list there was no property from that particular state. So if you see instead of 50 tabs, if this 48. Go ahead.
Now you need to understand also, the great thing about this list is there's no buyer's premium. The seller, i.e. the bank, is the one that pays the buyer's premium, so you do not have to.
So let me repeat that. So this is one of those lists that you can also take into consideration, that there's no buyer's premium from the auction houses. They get paid directly by this seller. So asset type, address, city, county, state, property type, bedroom, bath, lot size, year built, and starting bid, occupancy status, deed type, product type, again, bidding start time and end time, and then you have the auction status. So then you have the run rate, and then you have the TWC number, and then the bid amount. So this is the recommended number, and then you'll see that now when there is, like Eric, if there are no numbers on the here, what does that mean? They can just
under which column? I'm sorry.
This is the TWC number. What's our recommended number?
Oh, okay. Well, there's so many products on that.
Yes.
That
almost 6,500 products.
It's hard for me to do 6,500 bids, or excuse me,
recommended
prices on there.
Prices on them.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but the good number. So what I'm saying is that if there's no number there, then they just do their own due diligence and put their own number.
For the most part, there should be a number on almost everything there, isn't there?
No. So look at this one. So
no, there's not.
So look at this, because you say that up until number 7, row 7, then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Now, 26, it starts the pricing again. So there's a gap, but maybe that's an exception. Typically, there would be a number for all of them. So,
Typically, there would be, yes.
okay, so look at it. I'm holding my key down, so there's some missing, but then it's picking up again. So there was some like the gap again, and then it picks up again. Gap picks up, gap picks up. So obviously you're going through 6,000 over almost 6,500 properties over here. So some has, if there's no numbers, then do your own due diligence and then come back to this. Any other questions for auction.com?
Nope.
Any other comments? Okay, so then next we're gonna go. So you also know how to read the list and how to place the bids. Always place the bids on the highlighted column that says your bid amount, and then highlight the entire row. And I'm going to give you the email to send the bid also. So Zom.com. So how often do we get the Zom list?
Once a week.
Once a week. And how many different tabs?
Usually one.
One, okay. So is there anything unique about Zom?
Zom is owned by a bank called NationStar.
Mm-hmm.
Most of their assets come from NationStar, but not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Most of their product is going to have a buyer's premium. That being said, as of right now, and it changes frequently, Zom, in my opinion, has the better deals.
Okay. So then now let's look at the Zom similarly. So Zom has your inventory over here. Let's see this particular April 16th, how many properties were there? There were roughly, oops, 800 and basically 800 properties there on this particular list. This 800 properties. And so let's go read if there's anything specific. So your start date, that is an end date, that means the auction start date and auction bidding end date. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. So occupied runs and vacant runs means that
how many times it's been run both ways versus an occupied asset versus a vacant asset.
Okay. And address, city, state, county, bedroom, bath, square footage, year build, lot size. What is value band?
Value band is what band I have them pulling the reports from. And usually I'm somewhere around 100,000. There it is, 50 to 100K.
Yeah, okay. So, and we're going to get some higher price property also. I've asked him to get the higher value band and basically get the entire spectrum and let you decide, because I have
correct
many people that are wants to bid only high price properties that are over 100,000. They don't want to play in the smaller ones. And there's less competition in the higher brand. It's a higher value band. So your starting bid, TWC numbers, and your bid amount. So as you heard, that this is one of the better ones. So if you go straight to your Florida one, then you can go look at how many properties out of the 800 property. There are 29 properties in this particular list for Florida. So if you're Florida, then much easier to look at this, and now you focus on this 30. Or if you're doing just 2-3 different states, you're doing Arizona also, just click on Arizona and then go make it just easier for you to look at and bid on place the bid. Similar, that highlight the column and place your bid and then send the attachment back as an attachment. So, and place the bid. Because of all these different sources, make sure that you don't just copy paste the property and send it to us, then we don't know which list it came from. A lot of confusion on our side. All right, so that was Zom. So let's go back and now go to the next one. Realty bid. How often do we get realty bid?
Once a week.
Okay. And how many different type of properties?
There's one tab. There's probably they're one of the smaller companies.
Okay.
They're owned by Kronos now. They probably have 500 or 600 properties.
Okay. Anything unique about realty bid?
You can pick up some products off there. They are small, but you can find some products on there. The advantage is that there's not too much to look at.
Okay, so look at what they have for this time. So available properties, let's look at how many they have for this go around. This was a list from March that I pulled as a sample. And all right, so there's like, yeah, as I said, about 443 properties on this one. And
now, just because they don't have as many assets, now remember, it's just like similar or typical business. The company that's smaller will bend over a little bit more for you, especially customer service wise, to ensure that you are happy and also getting the deals that you want to get. Keep in mind, the small guys want to get bigger, so they're going to do a little bit more to help you.
all right, and so let's look at original auction end date, post auction end date. So what does that mean, auction end date and post auction end date?
So what happens is if the auction is over and you're the high bidder, but you might be just a tad bit under what the bank is going to take, they're going to keep it in what's called a post-auction status to see if anybody will come in and bid higher to get to the number that they really want. If they don't, the auction is a subject to auction, meaning that the bank can decide yay or nay on your amount. If it's a little bit lower, chances are they'll take it. If not, they'll run it again in auction.
Okay. And
Understood?
yeah, and so your post auction date, there's no starting bid over here. Starting bid date or starting auction start date.
Original auction end date. Where is the start date? That's weird.
Yeah. So I'm just,
It's always on. It's always on there. She must have accidentally cut it off on the spreadsheet.
okay. All right. So and cities, property type, acreage, bedroom, bath, half, and your build, starting bid auction status, program, and the TWC number and your bid amount. So pretty much as you can see, and then you just go to the state that you want and available properties. So same for this. And so now let's go to the next one, which is Hudson&Marshall. Hudson&Marshall, how often do we get the list?
Once a week.
Once a week. How many different lists?
One.
Okay. And what's unique about H&M, if any?
Hudson&Marshall used to be the largest out there on floor auctions, and then they kind of switched to online auctions. Have been purchased by ServiceLink. They're very, very large, but don't have a whole lot of product as of yet. They have been in the auction game a long time. That's how I got my start, was with Hudson&Marshall,
Okay.
buying their assets.
So it looks like Hudson&Marshall have three different kind of property lists, and they also have an REO list. They have it's called, another one is their insured property list, and they also have their called pre and post. So they have pre and post asset sales. These are three different kinds. And so tell us a little bit about what's a pre and post.
I wouldn't pay attention to the pre and post asset sales unless you want to come up a little bit on the number. it's a little bit more of a difficult list to work because you're working a little bit blind. I would pay attention to the REO list and the insurance list. The insurance list is the same as the other companies. It's an insured loan and there's no buyer's premium.
Okay.
On the REO list, there's a buyer's premium of $2,500 and or 5%, whichever is greater.
Okay. So then let's look at quickly on Hudson&Marshall. This is the REO list that Eric was referring to. So on the REO list, and again, if you see over here, there is no tabs. That means there's probably less than 200 properties. Yes, there's 163 properties, so it'll be like 50 tabs, so it's not worth creating the tabs for it. 200 properties, less than 200, you can easily scroll through. I put it by state, so you can just go look at, highlight the states in a different color, so whatever state you're interested in. So that's your Hudson&Marshall list over here, and you also have the recommended TWC number, and you have your bid amount over there. And over here also in Hudson&Marshall, if there is a blank, like a missing number, that means you didn't feel it's worth it to give a number?
Correct.
Okay. So they have the starting bid to go by, and the list price. There's something to go by, the list price.
Correct.
All right, and then the last one over here is the Hudson&Marshall insurance product. And the insurance product, of course, is a lot of them. That's why you see all the tabs over there. And on the insurance product, the asset number, auction date, cycles. A number of cycle means, again, how many times it has gone through the auction. Occupancy status, all of these counties, bedroom, bath, interior, square footage, lot size, your bid amount. So that's what you're playing. So again, highlight put your dollar number that you want to bid, your highest and best offer, and then highlight which one you want. Pretty much that's all the different kinds of properties that we're talking about for this list. So now, those lists come once a week, and if you're 1 week you're missing it, that means simply that we didn't get it. So don't sweat over it. There's just bid on the others. So Ocwen list, how often does the Ocwen list come up?
Once a month.
So Ocwen comes out once a month, and there's typically one kind of list. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Yes,
they're all quick claim deeds.
There. And so here's this particular one. If you want to bid on Ocwen properties, I've had experience more than anything else. This Ocwen properties. This is where you get the best prices. However, if you're not a seasoned investor, if you don't know how to deal with title issues and how to clear title, how to do quitclaim, if you have an attorney who does what you call, what's that? I just mentioned it.
A title research, title search?
No, not title search. Once you hire an attorney to clear the title on a quitclaim deed to convert it into a warranty deed, you have to, oh God, I'm just completely blanking out. The process that's called, the attorney then finds the errors. If nobody makes a claim within a certain period of time, then the title company will insure. Anyway, it'll come to me. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So this is the Ocwen property list comes once a month. Typically, it's on the first or the second it comes, and if the first or second falls on the weekend, then it's the following Monday. It'll be there. So these are the lists you can expect from us. And if you have any questions, you can always send your inquiries or call us, the number. And also, if you have a question specifically for Eric, then you also send those questions to Eric at thewinnercircleinc.com as well. And your bid, I'm going to put it in here so that you have it in. There was on the slide, wasn't there? So in order to put all your bids will come to this special email that we have set up just for you. So bid at thewinnercircleinc.com. So this is once you all those properties that you're going to place bids on, attach the Excel that you want to, that's the kind of property that you want to bid for that week, that month, and send it to bid at thewinnercircleinc.com. One more time, if you have any questions, call and send your queries to support at thewinnercircleinc.com and place your bid at thewinnercircleinc.com. Any questions specifically about a product, something not, I mean, product questions, you can send those to Eric at thewinnercircleinc.com. You had Eric's number over there before. I'll put it again. So there you go. You have all the three numbers and the phone number as well. Then Eric will respond to you, and my staff will look at all these emails as well, the support and the bid, and will respond promptly. Eric, any other closing comments?
Let's have some fun.
All right. So this is if you have I mean, think about it. The name of the game is to have a steady source of leads, and you have it tens of thousands of properties at your fingertip on a weekly basis. And don't sweat. You do your due diligence, and if the numbers that we have put, or the starting bid, or the recommended amount is too high, then just don't bid. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. Obviously, there are properties there in the last, it's sold over 14,000 properties in the time that we have moved these properties. There are people buying these every day and twice on Sunday. So thank you again for your time, Eric. Appreciate it. And
I'll talk to you soon.
Alrighty. All the best.
All the best.
Good luck. God bless and Godspeed.